Today, I'm joined by Carl and Max, both experts on Fortiana and experts on various animals, whether it be small animals, etymology sort of thing, or large animals, mammals, lizards, and that sort of thing. And they're both going to talk to you about their subject. And without further ado, we're here at the Weird Weekend. We're having a great time, and here they are to chat to you.
Hi, folks. Better get a little bit further. Well, I suppose I better introduce myself. I am Max. I have a fairly broad interest in all animals, really. In terms of sort of cryptozoology, I started initially being interested in British big cats, as I was under the impression that there was still some mystery surrounding them. However, after spending a year or so doing field work, doing stuff, I decided it was not pointless, but the mystery wasn't there, because the evidence for these things, as I looked into it during my time, was just so strong that it was. Essentially, I now have the opinion that anyone who doesn't believe in big cats simply hasn't looked at the evidence. I think that's basically it. So these days I'm as interested in British big cats as I am in things like deer or seals, which I think sounds a little bit odd, but I love deer and seals. So
what is the evidence for people who don't know?
The evidence. There are some good photographs and there are some good bits of film. There are also some rubbish photographs, rubbish bits of film, which either show just normal cats or something, or foxes or something like that. But there are some good bits of evidence. There's loads of feces, hairs identified as both leopard and puma, some very good tracks. I mean, trackway evidence is always very tricky, but when you have, say, half a mile's worth of tracks in soft mud, and you can actually get an idea of the variation within one trackway, and you can say, yeah, this is a cat, then that's pretty convincing. And then there's been the genetic work done as well on some of those hairs, which for me essentially seals it.
Well, there's a couple of specimens that have turned up as well. Not many, but there have been some. Okay, there have been a couple of specimens turned up. There was the usually from Scotland, I believe, aren't they? Felicity the puma.
Yep.
Which was caught by Ted Noble, I think.
1980.
1980, yeah. I think that one there was possibly a pet, though, that was caught. It's unsure how long it was actually wild for.
She was reportedly extremely tame. I think she'd allowed strangers to stroke her.
She's a taxidermic specimen.
Yeah, I can't remember which one she is.
No, I don't know.
Inverness?
Possibly.
Are there signs that the big cats in England have adapted to the environment and become trying to think, natural selected, like on the Galapagos Islands, that they were various different species of animals?
Yeah.
Have they evolved yet into?
Well, I think these things have probably been here in very vague numbers. At least sort of upwards of, say, one or two for say maybe 100 years. Probably less than that. I mean, there's a specimen that I'm working on with Dan and various other people, which is currently being written up as a scientific paper. We're still working on that now. It's nearly finished. But that's a link shot in Newton Abbot in the early 1900s. So that's the first historical evidence we have of British big cats in the wild, as it were. So 100 years is probably the maximum amount of time that they've actually been here. I think 50 years certainly you'd say that, yeah, there are a number of big cats living here in Britain, and presumably breeding and being subjected to evolutionary pressures. So evolution can happen really quickly on small islands in small amounts of time where pressures are really high. So yeah, we will be seeing selection acting on those animals, obviously, because selection acts on everything constantly. what direction that's taking, whether it's had an effect in 50 years, we don't know. I don't think it has. Personally, I think it sounds like there may be a couple of hybrid animals around. Between what animals, no one's quite sure, but there are some animals that have sort of hybrid characteristics of a couple of different things. But again, the evidence for that is somewhat lacking compared to that evidence for sort of when you collect DNA from a leopard hair found in a couple of woods in different places across the UK. That's pretty damn good.
I think the melanistic leopards are slightly smaller as well than they should be. I think the environment is selecting a smaller specimen. Only fractionally, I'm not saying it's tiny like a domestic cat or anything like that, but I think it's definitely smaller than they should be where they come from in the wild.
Which is exactly the sort of selection you'd expect to see on an island with prey that's concentrated in small areas or not large abundances of big prey across the whole thing. So that's the sort of stuff.
Low genetic diversity as well.
Yeah, exactly.
So, last question. That's okay. I'm doing short interviews. But tell me about your experience at the Weirdweekend and what you've enjoyed about it, what you've taken from it.
This year?
Yeah, this Weirdweekend, yes.
That was just a continuous fun game.
What have I taken?
That wasn't an actual game.
I've had a great time. The Weirdweekend for me is always a good time to catch up with a lot of friends that I don't normally see in other places. So for me, it's much more of a social occasion. And we happen to talk about a whole variety of subjects. So Darren Nation and I will be talking in depth about waterfowl classification. Carl and I were chatting yesterday about scorpions and things like that. So it's actually surprisingly little cryptozoology gets spoken about, but we do talk about sort of things like that a lot. So for me, that's what the Weirdweekend is about. I mean, it's all things to all men. But,
this year I got my golden baboon because I've been bothering zoos and getting tracks from them, not leaving them alone until they let me have some copies of their footprints, their casts. And so that's what I've got out of this year. I've got a nice little award. I haven't been the Queen for the last 2 years, so I'm new to this as well. I like it though. It's really good. I'm really enjoying it.
So
I'll be here next year.
tell me about scorpions. Why you're interested in scorpions?
Because they sting.
Ah.
No, not at all. No, they're just interesting animals. They're just interesting creatures. I like to just interested in them really.
Which is the most dangerous scorpion?
You better ask Max that really. I know the family, but I wouldn't know the exact species.
It depends how you define most dangerous. For me, the most dangerous. Carl's referring to a family called Buthidae, which is a big family of really nasty scorpions, and they cause a whole range of sort of sting symptoms from sort of mild pain to death, basically. The most dangerous scorpion is a species called heteroscorpion. I can't remember the species name, but it accounts for something like 1% of stings, which is fairly typical for a sort of normal aggressive scorpion. But it accounts for about 90% of scorpion fatalities across the world, which for me makes it the most dangerous scorpion. And it looks really cool as well.
And of course they glow in the UV light too, which is just awesome.
Do they?
Yeah, if you want to look for scorpions in the wild, you just get a UV strip, shine it up and down some trees, and you'll see them glowing.
So we get scorpions in the nightclub with your naturally dancing away. Okay, that's very good. Thank you very much, you two.
Thank you.
And
you.
it's been good to talk to you.
You bought the back. No, so you. This one side was draw.
Okay, thank you two people, and hopefully you enjoyed that, and we'll have some more interviews later on today. Thank you. Bye bye.